Welcome to Tech in Translation, the podcast where we break down the complexities of today's most innovative technologies into something we can all understand.
Brought to you by Ironbow Technologies, a next-generation solutions provider. We're committed to helping our customers across the government, education, commercial, and healthcare sectors turn their tech challenges into real, actionable outcomes.
At Ironbow, we believe that technology should be a tool for empowerment, not a source of confusion.
That's why each episode of Tech in Translation is designed to demystify the latest trends, tools, and technologies, making them accessible for everyone, whether you're a seasoned professional or just tech curious.
Join us as we translate complex tech into everyday language, one episode at a time.
Welcome back to Tech in Translation. I'm your host, Tom Wooten. Today we're tackling one of the most misunderstood topics in tech, digital transformation. It's a term we hear all the time, but what does it really mean, and how does it reshape business? Joining us to go beyond the buzzword is Greg Stemberger, Chief Technology Officer of Ironbow Technologies. Greg, tell us a bit about your experience and why digital transformation has become such a passion for you.
Thanks, Tom. So really what I wanted to first take a moment is define it and what that means to me and what I've seen in my experiences, as well as obviously I'll definitely elaborate on my personal passions for digital transformation. But really, quite simply, digital transformation, it's an investment in business strategies as well as digital technologies to change a business and help a business shape and evolve its respective capabilities for how it creates value and delivers outcomes to customers. And I would say more specifically in 2025, with digital transformation, I've seen a few key themes present. First and foremost, we've seen a trend towards from technology-led transformations to very much more business-led transformations. And the renewed focus is due to some emerging technologies such as AI, which I'll elaborate on a bit more a little bit later. I'd say number two, there's been an increased, or I should say continued theme around improving agility and flexibility for businesses. It's quite clear that investment in digital technologies are helping businesses continue to adapt and respond to evolving market conditions and customer needs. I think number three, along with the emergence of generative AI, which I've highlighted earlier, there's really a renewed focus on data-driven decision-making. And what I mean by that is leveraging data to gain insights and make more informed decisions. I think it's becoming quite clear that data is becoming the key for businesses unlocking new potential and capabilities to help them differentiate themselves or remain competitive in a highly competitive landscape. And I think in closing, my passion personally for digital transformation really stems from the fact that it aligns with our ethos here at Ironbow that stems from the technology office, which I take a lot of pride in. And that is really helping our customers to effectively make technology decisions or investments that closely align with their business or mission goals, which I find to be very critical to driving success and value from any technology decision our customers make.
Okay, so the technology is obviously a big part of it. Data-driven, a lot of the information you said, obviously very important, but when people hear digital transformation, they think it's all about upgrading technology. Why is that such a narrow view, and what does digital transformation actually encompass?
That's a great question, and you're absolutely right. While technology is a critical enabler and historically has been very much the driver for transformation, along with that business transformation concept that I highlighted, it's quite clear that digital transformation is not simply just upgrading IT systems or adopting new technology. It's much more of a holistic and fundamental change that impacts various aspects of the business. And I put those into three areas of transformation that aren't directly aligned to just IT. So first and foremost, which is most critical, is the alignment to strategy and vision. So ultimately what I mean by that is if you think about the business goal or the strategy, it's starting with that and then making decisions and aligning the technology stack or the technology investments to make sure that those technology investments are aligning and helping enable those core corporate goals and or strategy that needs to be put in place. And number two, I think the second piece is people and culture, very essential. So if you think about the idea that we're introducing new technology new capabilities. We're potentially changing the way people work. We're introducing new processes, new workflows. There very much needs to be a culture that is embracing this change and then enablers within that process so that people get the training, the support they need to adopt and consume that new technology to help that business evolve. And then lastly, there's the customer experience aspect. Ultimately, I think what's great about digital transformation is that it really provides an opportunity for business or entities to really create new personalized experiences with their customers that are much more seamless and much more frictionless with the introduction of new technologies.
Okay, so we're talking these experiences and the various technologies and the way that these things tie together, but let's talk innovation. Digital transformation should enable innovation, not just modernization. How are organizations using transformation to unlock new business models, products, or experiences?
Yeah, really great segue. So as I mentioned previously, digital transformation has historically been very much technology-led. And there's been good success, and it's not a bad thing. We've seen success with its mindset of applying technology to a problem, basically applying it to the business, helping to digitize certain processes or workflows to help drive improvements and or efficiencies that can be gained immediately. But ultimately, I think the challenge there is by looking at that approach of digital transformation, in some cases, you may be limiting yourself in terms of driving a true transformation of the business. What we're finding is new tools such as AI are helping to drive a new mindset and a new approach to helping businesses rethink their strategy around the business or mission and drive new outcomes with technology and digital transformation initiatives, because AI does more than automation. It helps augment and accelerate those efforts. The big difference here being innovation and new capabilities rather than just driving efficiencies with how they're operating today, but creating new business models that were not possible before.
Okay, so data is at the heart of digital transformation, but many organizations struggle to make it actionable. What are some strategies for breaking down data silos and using insights to drive change?
Great question. So I think it's quite clear based on my comments earlier, data has become an increasingly centerpiece and an important component of any transformational initiative. And just as you highlighted, I think traditionally data-oriented investments have been made around technology and built around specific business needs. And this has absolutely created challenges for businesses to evolve their infrastructure and be able to effectively create new business outcomes from the data they're collecting, because some of the business needs may be changing rapidly and the investments they made may not align with the evolving changes. The key message here is starting to look at architectures in a much more data-centric view. Essentially, how are you collecting data? How have you made considerations for how that data is readily made available? And whether it's in the cloud, it's in the data center, or at the edge, we ultimately need to make that data readily accessible so that businesses can drive new outcomes. It's basically essentially becoming an ever-increasing invaluable asset and a centerpiece of any modern enterprise architecture, that the architecture must align to the data versus the data aligning to the architecture.
Okay, so we're dealing with technology. You know, as much as we would like things to go perfectly and smoothly and everything work the way it's designed, not every digital transformation initiative goes smoothly. What are some common mistakes or missteps you've seen organizations make, and how can others avoid them?
Yeah, so the reality is we've seen good success, as I've highlighted earlier, introducing new technology and helping businesses be more agile and better able to respond to a kind of an evolving digital economy. But with that being said, it's becoming quite clear business-led transformations are much more impactful than technology-led initiatives. So case in point, if you think about the example I mentioned earlier, the investments in data can very much be aligned to kind of a traditional technology-led initiative where you've got a specific use case or need that drove the investments in a data architecture. But what I've highlighted earlier kind of represents the theme here, which is if you look at the business holistically and you look across the business and the strategy that you're trying to employ from a business holistic perspective, you then start thinking about data as a business tool. And then you start thinking about, how can I centralize the data? Maybe I need to be looking at building a centralized data lake that's readily accessible across the business, therefore being much more of a differentiated capability and impacting the business in a more meaningful way. The ideal scenario, to be quite honest, is a balanced approach. We've got to look at it from a business and technology perspective, them working together, creating opportunities, and implementing solutions holistically that drive business value.
So you're wanting to make, or the business is trying to simply make the business better. It's trying to advance the organization somehow. So for those leaders of those businesses that want to make real progress, what's one critical piece of advice you'd give them to avoid spinning their wheels or getting stuck?
So great question. Great segue to kind of the next comment I wanted to share, which is, I think more recently, I think the most impactful thing that we've seen that's impacting digital transformation is the introduction of generative AI. I think what's exciting about AI is the introduction of technologies like generative, which, ultimately in simple terms, the ability to create new content from existing data sets. But what that's done for us and for our customers is that it's created a new actionable path toward customers truly driving business-led transformations. So to clarify my point, we've seen good success with the introduction of new technology and tools that introduce automation and making manual work we did yesterday repeatable at scale, saving massive costs, right? That's historically how digital transformation has been led. But now, with the introduction of AI, and you think about applying that to digital transformation initiatives, it represents an opportunity not just to automate, but rather augment people and their work. So that now we're not just increasing productivity, but we're also innovating with new capabilities not previously possible. So moving forward, it's critical that businesses likely start to assess how they can best leverage AI as part of any future transformational initiatives, because the potential for new levels of augmentation and not just automation, and what that means, just saving time and efficiency, but rather new levels of intelligence, decision-making, can drive an entirely new set of business outcomes and help our customers evolve much more quickly.
Okay, so if listeners are looking to take one thing away from today's conversation, what should it be about what digital transformation really means?
Tom, I've actually got 3 points. I want to expand upon this a bit. 3 takeaways, I think, from this conversation here today. Number 1, which I've reiterated a number of times already, business-led transformations are much more impactful than technology-led. So rather than focusing on the adoption of new technology, focus on the problem you're trying to address and ensure that you're looking at the business holistically in terms of strategy, process, and people. I think number 2, the other big takeaway I have, is data. It's becoming a critical component of any company's long-term strategies that look to modernize their enterprise architecture, and it's becoming quickly one of the most valuable, persistent assets in the company, with the need to be quickly and readily available to the business with new vehicles such as generative AI. And then lastly, and something that obviously I think is resonating across the industry, the intersection point and the important relationship between generative AI and digital transformation, and the fact that generative AI in particular represents a really good opportunity to enhance any digital transformation initiative in helping customers make it a much more business-led and transformational initiative in nature, so that it's not just driving efficiency, but rather driving new experiences for their employees or customers.
And that's fantastic information. Thank you, Greg, for helping us move beyond the buzzword and get to the heart of digital transformation. If you found today's episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss future insights. And for more resources on digital transformation and more, visit us at ironbow.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.